Ankh and Ma'at. It is wonderful to see you all. I believe we are in the process of going live. We are live on YouTube. It's wonderful to know that you're there. We're live on Facebook as well. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We want to welcome you back to Kemetic Ascension. You know that it has been a labor of love of the Shrine of Ma'at and its priests to bring Kemetic Ascension for years now, right? Guess it's going on 5 years. Listen, you should know that during the coronavirus epidemic, time is either advancing or standing still, but regardless of what's happening, we don't have a proper assessment of time. So, you back to Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at. I need to welcome you in properly so you will remember that it seems like it has been now over a year. It is actually over a year that we have been asking for you to really tell us where you are. So, there are 2 things we want you to share with us. Tell us where on this wonderful blue orb you are, and you have been partaking in Kemetic Ascension. It's time for the Kemetic shout out. Please let us know where in the world you are and how long you have been partaking in Kemetic Ascension. And as you do that, I think it'd be wonderful for you all to also talk to us a bit about your connection to the Shrine of Ma'at. If you are a full initiated member of the Shrine of Ma'at, let us know. Let us know if you are a full family member of the Shrine of Ma'at. That would be fun too. So those of you who are wondering about joining the Shrine of Ma'at could get some information from those wonderful people as well. We are standing here on April 25th, 2021. And we're so pleased that you've chosen to spend your Sunday with us. I would normally say a wonderful, sunshiny or resplendent Sunday, but New York City is rainy. You know that in this period of the year, we need rain to prepare for all of the life of the earth to return to us. So we are hoping that wherever you are enjoying a magnificent Sunday. And we know that we should be honored, definitely honored, that you've chosen to spend some of it with us. So welcome once again to Kemetic Ascension for April 25th, 2021. Anika, do we have any responses?
Send William Humphrey out in Phoenix.
Send William Humphrey. You and I need to catch up, by the way. Definitely, it's good to hear. He's also known as Tehuti Forever. Mm-hmm. I hope all is well with you and your wonderful family and your son, and I'm hoping you're good.
We have Nebecher Anahetep.
Nebecher Anahetep. Mm-hmm. Is that Sanet Anna? With a different name? No? Okay. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Where are you in the world, and how long have you been part of Kemetic Ascension?
Michelle Isaacs.
That name is familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Welcome. Welcome. And where's Michelle Isaacs?
Tell us where you're from.
Tell us where you're from, folks. Tell us where you are in the world and how long you have been partaking in Kemetic Ascension. That's what we'd like to hear as we greet you and welcome you to this global gathering of practitioners of ancient African spirituality. We're hoping that you are joining us. We're hoping that you're joining us in peace. And I should also say, as you are shouting yourselves out, I know that you know at least 3 people that should also be part of Kemetic Ascension. Make sure that you're sharing this. Make sure that you're sending the link on YouTube. Make sure that you're inviting your friends on Facebook. Please make sure that we are with you.
Michelle is in upstate New York.
Upstate New York?
Yes.
Now, you know, when you say upstate New York to Anika and Jabari, the first question we're going to ask is where? Because Anika and Jabari met in upstate New York. We met in Ithaca, New York. I wonder how far or close you are to Ithaca. We met when we were attending Cornell. So,
There's
let
a
us
Tracy
know.
from Indianapolis, been watching for 6 months.
wow, go ahead. Sinette Tracy, wonderful.
We have Neferka Ast, one of our initiates.
Neferka
in
Ast.
Dover, Delaware.
Wonderful, wonderful. Delaware is not too far away. Welcome, Ankh Ma'at, to you.
Tiffany out in Detroit.
Wonderful.
Mike
Detroit
Jones
in the house.
Jr. is in the house.
Who's that?
Mike Jones Jr.
Mike Jones Jr. We've heard Mike Jones Jr. before.
And I want to say Twaou to Sinette Tracy and Sen Onje for their donations. We appreciate you.
Oh, we certainly
Wow.
appreciate you. We appreciate all of your donations. We need your donations to continue to do the work that we're doing.
So Michelle is from upstate, but she is living upstate, but she's from Harlem. She met us at Source of Knowledge bookstore.
Oh, really?
And you signed her book. You know, Seven of White
Oh,
Lies.
really?
She's in Warwick, New York.
I
Home
don't
of the
know
Apple
Warwick.
Fest.
Where?
Home of the Apple Fest.
There's an Apple Fest in Warwick, New York? I wonder
We
how
need
far
to
that
find
is.
it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last thing that she should have said. Now we're like, Apple Fest? That sounds tasty and delicious. Maybe we need to go to Apple Fest. Wow. Warwick, New York. Warwick, New York. Okay, maybe we need to check that out.
Sinette John T is in the house.
Sinette who?
John T. Lee.
John T. Lee, welcome,
We
welcome.
have Nefer Amun Divine in Delray Beach, Florida.
Ah, we have Florida in the house. Wonderful. At this point, that's the person that's well, no, Arizona is further away than that. So Century Forever is the furthest away right now.
And we have
St. William Humphrey.
Sinette Latanya from Dallas with us for 3 years.
Wonderful.
Bridget from Birmingham, Alabama
Dwa.
for 3 years.
We are so honored that you are here.
Sen M is here.
Sen En is here, one of the full members
Yes.
of the Shrine of Ma'at from the group called Ascension.
We have Sinette Demetra,
Wonderful.
Douglasville. She's in Georgia, 3 years. Mike Jones Jr. is from Denver, Colorado, and Aurora, Colorado.
Wow.
We have Sen Alan Mayo, who's another initiate.
Yes, yes.
In Tacoma, Washington. So
Wonderful.
that might be the furthest right now.
Wonderful. Yeah, Tacoma, Washington's further than Arizona.
I bet you Anna Hesep is from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, we have some folks in Ohio coming through.
We have Siamun Ra Jawish from St. Lucia, so that's furthest away.
St. Lucia. I don't know if St. Lucia is further than Colorado, is it? I know it's in another country, but is it further by the crows fly? By how the crow flies?
It's just nice to be somewhere warm.
I speak English on occasion. It's just not today. Yes.
Oh, we have Churgy from the Netherlands.
Churgy?
Churgy 6 from the Netherlands.
Wow. The Netherlands is certainly further away.
I think you got it.
Yes, yes. Ankh Ma'at, and welcome to you.
Son Gaston in Arizona, 3 years.
Yes.
Sinette Olivia
Gaston Bryant,
here.
right?
Yes, another initiate.
Sinette Olivia. Olivia's in the DMV area, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. And
Sinette
Chester.
Olivia.
from
Sinette Olivia,
Houston.
where are you again?
Oh, and Jason from Houston is in Houston. He's from Lincoln, Nebraska. So Jason, you have a friend in the house, Chester, who's also in Houston. So y'all need to link up. Anna Rodriguez is in the house.
Anna Rodriguez. She's on Long Island, right?
Yes. Robert James from London, UK.
Wow, Robert James.
Jabari just did an interview with a brother in London.
Didn't I speak to Robert James? Robert James, you're too familiar. In London.
Oh,
We
and
communicated recently, I believe.
Keisha is in Columbus, Ohio. Wonderful. We have Gracie Rogers Smith. Lady Het Davis in Denver, Colorado.
Wonderful.
We have more Denver people. Nyota Nayo in Long Island. Anje is repping South Jersey.
Anjay is from South Jersey, right? I know that Anjay is not that far away, but...
Love Powers from West Virginia, originally from Philly, but residing in West Virginia for the moment.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Philly is just a stone's throw from here. Nika and I we love Philly. We're often there.
Sierra Penn out in California. We have G. Maurice Jones in Detroit. Calvin Scott Jr. from Atlanta. And Twaou Demetra for the donation. We
Wonderful.
appreciate you.
Demetra, our initiated,
Yes.
Demetra. Wonderful. I'm so glad you're here with us.
Gracie's from Tennessee. We have
Wonderful.
Wally Young from Newark, New Jersey. Sinette Michelle, another initiate.
Wonderful.
Let's see, Cortia is in Atlanta. Jamu Tayimba is in Inglewood, California. Sandra Arrington is in the house.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Natasha Fieldsmith is in Milwaukee. Go ahead. Leslie Sue is in the house.
We have a lot of
Thank
folks.
you to the stars from Michelle Mendez. We appreciate you.
Yes, the stars are definitely
Fieldsmith, thank you.
appreciated. Dwa, dwa, dwa.
Yes, yes, yes. So we have someone from Akati, South Carolina. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
South Carolina's in the house. Wonderful.
Yes, Federal Way, Washington, John Tay Lee.
Go ahead. Washington State, I think, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we have people from all over. I still think the Netherlands might be furthest away today. The Netherlands might be furthest away today. We don't have anyone from the continent yet today.
No, not yet.
Okay. Usually we have folks as far away as South Africa, which is much further away. We don't have them on today. Can I just go ahead and say welcome to you all? We know that there's so many other things you could be doing with your Sunday. And we're honored that you've chosen to spend a bit of your time with the Shrine of Ma'at. A little Harlem shrine that has a big reach, as you can hear. We're so pleased that you're here with us. We're honored that we have some folks that are relatively new and folks that have been along the ride with us for a very long time. We're honored that we have fully initiated members and members who are rapidly approaching the end of their initiation. It is magnificent that you are with us. Anken Ma'at, Anken Ma'at, Anken Ma'at.
Twa'u, Bridget, for your donation. We truly appreciate
the donations are always
and
helpful.
Dion Lives, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you so much.
Lives. Isn't Dion Lives connected to Send to Hootie Forever, I think?
Not sure, let us know.
Yeah. Can we just go ahead and say welcome to you all? It is amazing that you've come. We are honored by your presence and your donations. We need your donations to continue to exist.
We have Yawo from Colombia. He found you on the Sonetta platform.
Colombia, we're talking about the country of Colombia, huh?
I'm assuming so.
That's out there. Wow. Wonderful. Wonderful.
We have Tanae from Atlanta, Georgia.
We have folks from all over. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, as you can hear, we have folks from all over the country and all over the world joining. And Anika and I often say that we have been on this journey to absolutely be practitioners of Kemetic spirituality for some time. Now over 30 years. Now over 30 years. I actually entered into Kemetic spirituality in 1990. So now it's over 30 years. And we know that very often this means that you must do these things on your own. I know that for a very long time, I was practicing on my own. I was up in upstate New York, in Ithaca. I would rush home to New York City to sort of partake in ceremonies with the Soraset Society for some time. I'm going to say to you that being at a Soraset Society for a few hours and then running back up to Ithaca where it is snow white, and I'm not just talking about the temperature and the weather forecast. It was a little different for me, right? I definitely at times felt very alone. And we know that when we gather, something powerful happens. It is amazing if you are disciplined enough, if you are focused enough, to absolutely hearken to the voice of our African ancestors on your own. It's amazing if you're doing that. But when you have people that are doing it with you, it is amazing. It is wonderful. It is reaffirming. You don't have to feel like you're alone. You're not the only one that hears the echo of the call of our ancestors. You are not the only one. So that is why absolutely having these gatherings is of critical importance, particularly as we are in a difficult time during the coronavirus pandemic. It has been so important for us to continue to come to you. And so we are absolutely honored that you are here. We say welcome, welcome, welcome.
And that Adrian Ma'at segment in the house. Sounds like someone's just named themselves.
She put some more words, some more names in her name. Welcome, welcome. And you know she's out in Philly, in Philly. Can I say that when we begin a gathering,
Dion Liz is William Henry's son.
Deanna's actually on.
That's the name that's the one that was shot.
Yes, I know. Mm-hmm. I know he's Dion. Yeah, I've spoken to him before. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Dion. Welcome. It is wonderful that you're there with your dad, probably in the other room or just a little way away from you. Mm-hmm. Welcome. And Dwa for donating as well. We're so honored that you're here, and we are actually honored by your continued commitment to remain in divine balance and in health. We know that journey to health for you has been difficult, particularly because of the things that happened to you. But we are here with you, and we are remembering that your journey is important for all of us. So Dwa for joining us.
Natasha says, I enjoy the teaching you and Shaka. Hopefully the two of you can collaborate and bring something beautiful to the people.
Obviously, he's talking about the reason why Jabari is so exhausted today. We were supposed to be having Shaka Amos and I were supposed to be having a conversation. It didn't quite happen. You probably are aware that there were some words that were said about the tradition, about me, that weren't really in Ma'at or in balance. Shaka and I have spoken, and I think that we have returned to balance, which is good. We were going to have a conversation last night, and I prepared diligently for it. It didn't happen. But I'm still exhausted because I was on Sonetta's platform pretty late last night. So some of you who are watching Sonetta will absolutely see that as well.
We have South Africa in the house.
That's the furthest away. Who in South Africa?
Harrison Sithole.
Okay, that sounds like a new person. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a new person. Welcome, welcome. Where in South Africa are you? Welcome. We're so honored that you've chosen to join us. Can I say once again, folks, as you greet us and we greet you from all points near and far on this beautiful blue globe that is our Father Geb, can I say to you that I am sure that you know at least 3 people that should be here with us. Make sure that you are sharing this on YouTube. Make sure that you are tagging your friends on Facebook. We are trying to grow the reach of the Shrine of Ma'at because we believe that what we are doing is truly helpful for our people today. And so joining and adding more people will be so helpful. So please make sure that you are pushing this out as far as you can. And I'm going to say to you that Jabari has actually been dabbling a little bit more on Instagram. I think that we should even try to go live on Instagram at times as well. Perhaps next week we'll be able to try to do that too, because that would be absolutely amazing.
So he's from Johannesburg, Soweto.
Joburg.
Yes. Wonderful.
Welcome. And South Africa is one of those places that we definitely must get to. We've had a few journeys on the continent now, mostly in Northeast and West Africa. We have not been to Southern Africa yet, and we definitely need to go.
Thank you so much to Deborah Kennedy and Nefrika asked for your stars. And I see that Brother Nasu West is in the house, who is soon to be married. So we talked yesterday. Good to see you.
Ma'at, and congratulations on your journey towards your union. We're looking forward to assisting in any way that you can, and any way that we can. And so we are so pleased that you are with us. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So you should know, if you have been a regular participant, a regular feature in the Kemetic Ascension, that we begin Kemetic Ascension in the way that marks the lineage of our shrine, in the way that our elder Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Ptah taught us when we were young Kamites in the Shrine of Ptah. It is through that amazing ritual that he put back into its current form, called the opening of the way. So please, we're hoping that you are prepared to do the opening of the way with us. It should be done because the opening of the way reminds us of just how powerful we are. It reminds us that we have the ability to surmount, to absolutely hurdle those challenges that are before us, because we are the stuff of the divine. So please, we're glad that you've joined us, and we would like for you to stand in the position of adoration, preparing for the opening of the way. That means that you're going to stride forward just a little bit with your left foot. You're going to stand with your shoulders erect. You're going to place your palms in front of you and outward. You should know that this is the way that you can sense energy in many instances. And your left hand is going to be a bit further forward than your right hand. And your left hand can actually be a bit higher than your right hand. Remember, the left side is that which gives. The right side is that which receives. And so we are asking for you to create a divine energetic circuit so that we are able to both receive and to give divine energy. And as we stand in this position that we have seen for thousands of years on walls and on papyri in our ancient homeland of Kemet, we ask you to chant the word of everlasting divine life, Ankh. So take your deep breath and remember to breathe from your lower abdomen and then chant this divine ancient sound. Let us begin.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet. Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twa Winter.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Kebsenuf.
Anetrak Kebsenuf.
Nuke Kebsenuf.
Nuke Kebsenuf.
Twa Winter.
Anetrak As.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke As.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twa Winter.
Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwa Mutef.
Anetrak Dwa Mutef.
Nuke Dwa Mutef.
Nuke Dwa Mutef.
Twa Winter.
Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twa Winter. Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu. Shu. Shu. Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Twa Winter. Anetrak Paut in Teru. Nuke Paut in Teru. Anetrak and Boo in Teru. Nuke and Boo in Teru. Twa Winter. Winter. Dwa, 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 Dwa. And Dwa Ta'anika, who you can see has to run the session and run back and forth, and Dwa. It is so interesting that we have now been doing this in the pandemic for now over a year, and so Kemetic Ascension has been primarily something that we have done with just the two of us and the rest of you online. And so we want to thank you for continuing to join us. Thank you for continuing to come forward for Kemetic Ascension, even though it is now entirely online. We know that the pandemic cannot stop us. We know that that bullets cannot stop us. We know that the negative intentions of those people who do not want to see you flourish, who do not want to see the call of ancient Africa responded to, we know that they cannot stop us. So we want to say thank you so much for joining us. And once again, welcome to Kemetic Ascension.
And
from here
to Brother Calvin Scott for your donation. We appreciate you.
Dwa. You hear that some people are donating. You can certainly donate to the Shrine of Ma'at via Cash App at $ Shrine of Ma'at, or you can donate to us using stars on Facebook if you'd like. You could even donate to us on PayPal. Just look for Shrine of Ma'at on PayPal and you'll see us. We are so honored that you continue to donate, because we don't do this for money, but we do need money to do it. It costs money to actually have all of the equipment and to make sure that we have internet, an internet service, an internet package that works and is commensurate with the work that we're doing. It is so important that we get support for it, because what ends up happening is our own proceeds just end up going towards it, and that happens as well. But all of the assistance that you give is critically important. You should know that neither of us we don't take salary from the Shrine of Ma'at. This is what we were charged to do, and this is what we do. So any support that you give is so greatly appreciated.
Abu Ka is in the house.
Abu Ka is in the house. Abu Ka, how are you doing? Out from Philly. It is amazing that you're here with us. We're honored that you're here with us. Welcome, 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 welcome. You know that when you hear the title Abu, that means that we're talking about one of the priests of the Shrine of Ma'at, one of the leaders of the Shrine of Ma'at, our dear Abu Ka Aani Mbes, affectionately known as Abu Ka, from out of Philly. It's wonderful that you're there. Please give myrrh to your mate, who is also a fully initiated member of the Shrine of Ma'at, and say peace to those little babies that you have there too. It's wonderful that you've joined us. So this part of Kemetic Ascension, we go into Hesi. And some of you who are newer to Kemetic Ascension might be wondering, well, Jabari, what is Hesi? Know that Hesi is the manner in which our Kemetic ancestors absolutely galvanized divine energy in harmony, in song, and in affirmation. I know that so many of you recognize the power of gospel, but you better recognize that gospel is just the way that Africans do. And that we were celebrating in harmony before the term gospel even came into existence. And so that is of critical importance. Anikadis.
So
yes.
Just want to say shout out and hetepu to Taki Grant, who's online.
Taki, what's up, brother? Anka Ma'at to you.
There are questions on how the stars work. So you decide how many stars you want to give, and I think there's a certain dollar amount per star. So I think each star is about a penny or something like that. You give a couple of stars, then those monies go to a Facebook account that can be used for the shrine. Yes.
I don't know what portion Facebook takes. And so that's another reason why we always tell you about Cash App as well, because it's possible that more of those proceeds might get to us. But just recognize any way that you are able to donate is certainly appreciated, because
for now they don't take anything.
They don't?
It's new. The stars.
Oh wow. Okay, good. Wonderful. Wonderful. Good. So what we did today is we decided that because we are all tired of the pandemic, because we're all struggling with the pandemic, what we would do is we would actually, instead of doing Hesi ourselves, you have heard Anika say that Jabari can't count, so I'm supposed to be doing a referral 3 times or 4 times. I'm doing it 5 times, doing it 2 times. I like to get into the Hesi rather than to focus on counting. That's what happens. But what I want you to do is enjoy a recording of Hesi that we did before the pandemic, before coronavirus, as we might call it, BC. And so I want you to take a look at when we had folks in the shrine doing the Hesi. The Hesi they're doing is the Ptah Sekhmet Imhotep. Ptah Sekhmet Kemet Nefer Atum. It is a very simple Hesi. It's one that we brought with us from the Shrine of Ptah. I have seen Baba Heru get into that Hesi many a day. And so we are hoping that you'll enjoy at least hearing us do it all together with a few folks that are in the shrine at the time that we were.
Okay. And Twa'u so much, Twa'u to Brother Yusef for your donation. We really do appreciate you.
Uncle Ma'at, Brother Yusef and I just chatted this morning.
Sarge right there next to the altar.
Yes.
Just so he knows. And shout out to Sinet Adenike.
Yes. Sinet Adenike, am I hearing that you are actually not in St. Croix right now? You are in Tanzania. Are you staying there permanently? I need to catch up with you. Let us know what's going on with you. It's wonderful that you've gone there, or that you're visiting there, that you're staying there. I just want to know what you're up to. Okay. Sinet Adenike is one of the full initiated members of the Shrine of God and a very active presence on our health and wellness committee. So, peace to you. I'm sure that you're someplace eating some wonderful salad somewhere that is making me hungry just thinking of it.
Okay, so
please enjoy the Hesi, Ptah Sekhmet in. For some reason, the sound is not working?
Mm-hmm. So we're just going to do it from here.
Okay, I need to double check and see why that's the second time that happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe we need to double check the settings. I think we'll play it here so you can see it. Okay, stop playing over there. Take a look at this one. This is just, and I think probably very low. Oh, great. Now I messed it up. Oh, boy.
We actually did it at the museum
There we
yesterday.
go.
The word.
This way.
The coming forth from the crown, and then the top, second and Imhotep, which was the great one who healed so many things. And so we're going to start with that chant. Ptah, second and we'll do it.
Second,
We wanted to play that directly there, but I'm hoping that you were able to hear it a bit from here. In some ways, it's just a memory of what it was like, as I said, BC, before we were able to, when we were able to be gathered together. That was an amazing, amazing experience for us to be able to do it that way. We miss those gatherings, and hopefully the world is changing enough that we will return to those gatherings shortly. We are so absolutely looking forward to get together, to Hesi together, to laugh together, all of that together. And so we are so honored to show you that, because it gives you a sense of what those gatherings were like. Now, I should say to you that we will be gathering mostly outside starting June 13th, right? June 13th is the Friday? Why do I always forget which day that is?
It's going to be the ceremony for the...
Yes, June 13th.
No,
June
12th. June 12th is a Saturday.
Huh?
June 12th is a Saturday.
June 12th is a Saturday?
Mm-hmm. The 13th is a Sunday.
Yes, okay. Okay. So starting June 12th, we're going to be gathering, and this is going to be powerful, particularly for people who are full members of the Shrine of Ma'at and close family members of the Shrine of Ma'at. The head Keperu, the celebration for those individuals who are completing their initiation and becoming full members of the Shrine of Ma'at, will be June 12th. And so we are going to be gathering here. The celebration, as it always occurs, is going to be in Central Park, right by the waters in Central Park. It's an amazing space. We're going to start at 2 p.m. If you are able to travel, you should travel and celebrate those initiates. After that, we'll likely get some food and do those sorts of things. And our plan is that on Sunday, we'll also have some events. This is primarily for people who are the full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. But if you are one of the family members and you look to come, you will certainly not be turned away. So please come forward. We're going to be doing things primarily outside so that we are able to maintain your safety. But please know that we are clamoring to be together again, and we are excited to say that perhaps June can be the beginning of us gathering together in a safe way. So,
Twawu Tene for your donation. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Yes. So at this part of Kemetic Ascension, we always absolutely gain wisdom from the text of our Kemetic ancestors, particularly from those texts in the genre known as Sebayit. Please Sebayit with me. So, Sebayit literature is wisdom literature. It is it actually forms the oldest corpus of the oldest genre of literature in the world, and it includes many important texts from the Kemetic tradition that are all focused on how to live a sacred and divine life, a life in balance. And so we are really, really anxious to absolutely hear what our Kemetic ancestors absolutely expected us to do. And so we speak to you from the Sebayit, but today we'd like to talk about an important topic. I think I was moved to talk about purification today as I see the world purifying itself. As I see that it has been raining today, I just felt divine purification was the topic we should talk about today. And so today we bring you the wisdom of sacred purification from the word from the Sebayit. And so as we begin, take a look at this image. Take a look at the image. You are seeing purification in Kemet, purification in our modern African traditions, and you are seeing a device of purification. I want you to understand that when people think of purification, often in the Western world, they think sometimes of baptism, And certainly you would not be incorrect to think of baptism, but I want you to understand that the concept of sacred purification is first an African tradition, first an African ceremony, something that our African ancestors did probably for tens of thousands of years, if not longer. And so when we talk about purification, when we talk about the practices of purification, we are talking about one of the most fundamental African spiritual acts. And as a practitioner of African spirituality, purification should certainly be something in your wheelhouse. It should be something in your toolbox. It should be something that you are doing regularly. So let's talk a bit about how we see purification appear in the Kemetic text, and we'll end in a practical manner. We'll actually talk to you about the practice of spiritual baths, of using spiritual baths to prepare you for the work you must do. We're actually going to do, obviously we're not going to do a spiritual bath. It's not like we're going to take the camera into the bathroom and you'll see one of us in the bathtub. We're not going that far. But we'll actually do a spiritual bath today in a basin so that you're able to see some of the things that you might place into the spiritual bath. And as we begin, I want you to take a look at that device on the screen. It's supposed to have the glyphs, but for whatever reason it did not come up. Where did I put the device? Here it is. Here is a replica of the item that you are seeing on the screen. Here it is. That's a replica of this item. And you might notice that it's an interesting bowl, and on the bottom it has feet. It has been anthropomorphized. It actually has feet. You might actually say that this is a cute bowl, but as you look at it, understand that the way that it has been rendered is telling us something. You might notice the feet, but you might also have noticed that this bowl is tilted forward. Do you see that it's not standing, it's not level? So that if you actually see that this anthropomorphized bowl has feet and that it is not level, what do you think they are actually saying is occurring through this bowl? What is occurring? You're supposed to be answering, by the way. You're not supposed to just be silent. I can see you at home. Don't you know that? You should understand that if you are going to move as if you had feet and the bowl was tilted forward, that this would mean that the item, the liquid inside of the bowl, would be spilling. So that tells you a little bit about this vessel itself. It is known as a wab bowl. A wab bowl. So, you might wonder, well, what does wab mean? Wab means to purify. And clearly you can see that the way that it is rendered gives you a sense that it is a purification vessel. In fact, in many ways, it's also a compound word. So the bowl section itself, if you looked at the Kemetic language, it would look like it was pronounced something like wa. And then the legs, the feet on the bottom, really the legs, would be the b. So when we say wa, it's wab, it's almost like we're using a compound word, which means to purify. And I think that that is absolutely wonderful. It was also the name of a class of priests. There were the wab priests, the purification priests, the priests that focused on purification in the temple, purification of the person, purification in the world. This was an important practice. Now, we absolutely see that purification is of critical importance in the earliest days of Kemet. This particular passage comes from the world's oldest spiritual book, known today often as the Pyramid Text. Now, you know that pyramid, the word pyramid, is not an ancient Kemetic word. Sometimes we say that this should be called the Merkut or the Merkuti or the Merkutu text, because the word pyramid is a Greek word for those amazing structures that they met when they got to Kemet. And some people actually believe that the word pyramid actually comes from the little rice cakes, these conical rice cakes that the Greeks used to fire and eat. And so I think they were called something like permis. And so to call these massive structures, these structures that we still cannot entirely understand how they were built, to call those structures by the name of a little Greek rice cake, you got some issues. You got some issues. So you should know the word pyramid text, because when you do your research, that's what you're going to look for, but certainly don't think of them as the pyramid text. This particular utterance, and you know, as we say utterance, it means that it was meant to be spoken, comes from the 5th dynasty king, King Unas. King Unas. This is utterance 253. Now, you should know that these utterances were of critical importance. When you go to the 5th dynasty rulers, the Merkuti they built actually have them written from ceiling to floor. So clearly this text was critically important for them to spend as much time absolutely plastering the entire wall, carving the passages of this text along all of the walls of the Merkut. So let's absolutely hear what Unas has to say about cleansing. He says, "Cleansed is he who was cleaned in the field of rushes. Cleansed is Ra in the field of rushes. Cleansed is he who was cleansed in the field of rushes. Cleansed is this Unas in the field of rushes." So you can see that uniquely important to the process of resurrection, which is what the focus of the Merkuti text is the concept of spiritual cleansing. And in this sense, the concept that you will be as Ra, be as powerful as this divine force as you engage in cleansing. This text comes from a period of time that in many ways is before most other countries have any other records of what they were doing or who they were or where they were. That's how old this was. So we see purification in the Merkuti text. You'll also hear that purification is of critical importance in the Reyu Pert Haruan Ger, that text that has been misnomered the Book of the Dead. The text that has been misnomered the Book of the Dead. You should know that it is better rendered Reyu Pert Haruan Ger, which means the book or the chapters of coming forth today from night. Perhaps we should call this book the Book of Illumination, the Book of Awakening, the Book of Great clarity, perhaps. Because think about what this means symbolically, to come forth today from night. Powerful, powerful title. And we know that it is where we get these magnificent scenes, these judgment scenes, where you see individuals have their heart weighed. You actually see individuals have their heart weighed so that they can enter into the Hall of Ma'ati, enter into A'aru, enter into the space in which they are able to go into what our Kemetic ancestors would have called heaven. And so you are seeing Ani and his wife Tutu, and they are actually going towards the scales. This is where a heart will be weighed, and they will decide, Dwa. Had something in my throat. Dwa. You will see that this weighing is what allows one to conquer death, to actually go into everlasting life. And so this is of critical importance. What do they say about purification in the text? Take a listen to this. This is in plate 32 it says, I have come advancing to make a declaration of right and truth, to place the balance upon its supports within the Aramanthine bushes. Hail exalted upon his standard, Lord of the Atef crown, making his name as the Lord of winds. Deliver me from thy messengers who actually make dire deeds, who arise calamities, without covering their faces, because I have done right and truth. O creator of right and truth. This is Ma'at. O creator, O Ma'at. I am pure. My breast is washed. My hinder parts are cleansed. My interior have been the pool of right and truth. There isn't a member of me that is lacking. I have been purified in the southern pool. I have rested in Hemet, to the north of the field of grasshoppers. Bathe the divine sailors in it, at the season of night, to gratify the heart of the Neteru. This is powerful, powerful, powerful. And I think that we should recognize that some of what we are hearing, we have to do more research on. Take a look at the description of how you are the person that makes the declaration of Ma'at. And through your declaration, you are placing the balance, the scale, upon its supports. It is your job to ensure that the very scales of Ma'at are placed upon their sacred balance. I think that is actually wonderful to absolutely read that section. I think it's interesting also that Aosu is the word for balance. It is the word for scales. Did you notice that? If you're reading from this version, you'll actually be able to see the glyphs and also to see you'll actually also see, I'm getting distracted by the glyphs is what's happening here. You'll actually see the transliteration, so you can see how it should be spoken, and you'll also see the English. Why did I get distracted? Because I was looking at the glyphs for balance, and the ah is almost like Ea. The first glyph is the donkey. The first glyph is the donkey. And then we actually see that the word itself is balanced. Do you see both of the chicks with the Sioux plant in the middle?
You can't see it, it's too small.
It's too small on the screen?
Yeah.
If I can see it here, you can see it. Squint at it. It's really that small? Yeah, but you're looking at it in this little screen.
I'm looking at it right here, it's small.
It's still too small? Mm-hmm. Folks, you should absolutely get your copy and take a look at this in plate 32. If you're reading the same version, which is usually rendered on the same pages, it occurs on page 206 so that you can see that. Are you looking at it there, Anika? Do you see how I'm talking about in the book right there. Are you seeing the Ea of donkey in the front? I thought that was curious. That's the donkey, right? Am I right? Do you see it? Here.
No, that's not a donkey.
What is it? Ea is the donkey.
Yeah, but that's not the donkey itself.
Then why is it
Like
rendered as owl? I think that's the donkey. By the way, the reason why I got distracted is because if the balance scales start with the most stubborn animal, what is the commentary that our ancestors are making? And then you have the two chicks that are balanced by the Sioux plant in the middle. I think the word for balance is very interesting to me. But anyway, I'm on a diversion. I just hope that you also enjoy looking at the language and having fun with the language. And so I'm enjoying that extensively. But recognize that you are so important, that you have come forward to actually make a declaration. Your words create the support for the balance themselves. How powerful are you if your words create balance themselves? This is powerful. And in addition to this, understand that they are talking about the fact that those supports must be in a particular bush. I'm not going to talk to you about why that bush is important. This is your homework. Read the passage and tell us about these bushes. The bush is known as the cacao bush. And I think that it is also interesting as well. Buds translate as the amaranthine bush. Why that bush? What is important about it? Do your research, practitioners. And when you come with an answer on our Facebook page, let us know what you think. If you're looking at this on YouTube, maybe you should put forward a small YouTube video on why you think the amaranthine bushes are connected to the support of the very scales of right and truth. This, I think, is interesting. And recognize that you are absolutely giving hail to the Lord of the Atef crown. Now, the Lord of the Atef crown is absolutely Asar. When you read this section, this is really the description of the person that is coming to the scales. Notice before it says, I have offered up prayers in the presence of the Neteru, knowing what concerneth their persons. That's powerful. So when you see them kneeling in front of the Neteru in the first scene in the judgment scene, they actually are offering up prayers knowing what concerns them. What does that mean, what concerns them? I think in some ways we're talking about knowing what you might have done that is out of balance. So this means that when you go before the Neteru Anika, you are actually talking to them about the stuff that you did that might concern them. That's what I think this means. So as you kneel there with your offering, you're saying, look, I know I did this, but come on, man. I've tried to make amends. I've offered them prayers knowing what concerns them. This is amazing. Are there things in your life, things that you've done, things that you haven't done, that you know might unbalance the scales, that might set the scales all cattywampus? If you know what those things are, you had better write them, because you know what will concern the Neteru that will be there serving as your judge, as your jurors. This is interesting to me. So then further it says that when you're talking to the Lord of the Atef crown, which obviously is a reference to Asar, it is said that the Lord of the Atef crown makes his name in the winds that deliver me. Imagine that. All of these things that seek to destroy you, you are sort of blown above by the winds of Asar. I think this is beautiful, beautiful, poetic sort of wording here. And what about these people that are seeking to destroy you? He calls them messengers that make dire things to happen, and that make arise calamities without covering their faces. Now you know very well that they must be pretty bad if they're going to do messed up stuff and not even cover their face. You see them coming. But the Lord of the Atef crown uses the wind to blow you above them. This is a wonderful. I like this. Very much. And so as you look at this, recognize that in order for you to be prepared, it says that you have been washed, that you have been pure. Your breast is pure. Your hinder parts are pure. It sounds to me like you have gone through a sacred purification. And as we talk about spiritual baths, what are some of the things that might be in your spiritual bath? does it not mean that we should actually be bathing those people who make their transition in these leaves that were just referred to? Tell me more about it. I'm not going to give you anything else. You tell me what you think. But clearly, spiritual baths must be done. And in addition to that, recognize that your interior is the pool of right and truth. So in many ways, while the outside of you has been purified, the inside of you has been purified by Ma'at. That is beautiful. That your works, that your deeds, that your thoughts in many ways are purification of themselves. That is beautiful. So as we talk about the purification of your exterior, of your hinder parts, and of your breast, understand that they are also saying that the work that you do is also your purification. And it is through the work that you do and the purification of your exterior, of your outer body, that you're now able to say there is not a member of you that is lacking. That you have been purified in the southern pool. Why the southern pool? Why the southern pool? What is the reference to the southern pool? Here's a hint. What was the moniker of the great temple? What was its moniker? Let me just tell you. It was known as a pet reciette. And a pet reciette had a magnificent pool that I will refer to. You're going to see an image of it today. So it seems to me that this might be a reference to that baptismal pool, that purification pool. I have rested in Hemet. What is Hemet? North of the field of grasshoppers. This is more work, more research you must do, family. I want you to tell me what is Hemet. Now you recognize that Hemet is a place, because when you look at the glyphs, you will actually see that X there. So Hemet is a city, a place. Why? And as you rest in Hemet, you're going to be north of the field of grasshoppers. What's the Kemetic word for grasshoppers? You actually see the picture, a determinative of a grasshopper in that word. I think that that is beautiful.
So that animal was Anpu.
Was it? I don't think so.
I'm looking it up.
What'd you find?
Anpu.
Really?
Yeah. Anpu is the one who helps with the scales in the
Yeah, but that
judgment
didn't
scene.
look like Anpu. Because Anpu was a dog. That doesn't look like a dogs
it's a
don't lay that
recumbent-
way.
It's a recumbent dog.
Are you sure? It doesn't look like Anpu to me. It looked like it was more a cattle-like animal. No. No, I don't think that's it. No. Look at the image in the book. That's not the image in the book is an animal that is a cattle-like animal because they lay differently. When dogs lay, their front paws go forward. This one is bent underneath, and that's not the same animal.
Okay.
Now listen.
Okay.
Y'all look at Anika and Jabari disagreeing. Won't practitioners continue to talk about the fineries of their tradition? This stuff is exciting. This is the stuff that you all don't see. Now, I know the initiates see it because they see us doing it in their sessions, and the priests certainly see it. The two of us be going at it. No, I think you're wrong. I think you're right. But when you do these sorts of things, it actually will help you be a stronger practitioner. It helps you better understand what your ancestors were attempting to say. And I am pretty sure I'm looking at a donkey because I know that the word for donkey is Iyah. And I think that the beginning of this, that word is Iyasu. That's the name of the scales.
I have not seen a donkey laying down in any glyph. I'm looking at a donkey standing up.
Okay. Now listen, we're going to try to see. Some of y'all need to get your brother. Do some research on that glyph and try to help me out with Anika. Come on. I want you also to see if you can tell what that is. This is going to mean that you're going to have to get in the text. If you are a practitioner of Kemetic spiritual science, you need to focus on the details and understand the details. Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyway, let's continue. We were talking about the city known as Hemet. please, I want you to do some research on Hemet. Why is it that you're taking a rest in Hemet, north of the field of grasshoppers? What does that mean? And it also says here that you have to bathe. By the way, if you're looking at the glyphs, you can see the symbol of the Wab vessel. Bathe, they're saying the word here is abet. Abet, the divine sailors. Who are the divine sailors? I think these are the individuals that will take you on your journey. And that is what we are saying here.
It's a water buffalo.
It's a water buffalo? Are you sure?
It says bubalis, a newborn bubalis.
It's a young water buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you seeing that? Yeah, that looks like it. That looks like it. Yes. That looks like it. So it's not a can you go back to the symbol? Let's see.
That's the E sound. Off screen.
A water buffalo. I know I'm off screen. Listen, I'm into my own study. You should be doing this too. It's a water buffalo. Why is a water buffalo a symbol of the scales? Anika, we have to meditate on that and try to have a better understanding. Am I right or am I wrong? Mm-hmm. I think that is fascinating. Fascinating. And now you know the Kemetic word for the scales. What's the Kemetic word for the scales? Ausu. Ausu. And in many ways, it seems to me that the word for the scales looks like it is balanced. You see the U chicks on both sides separated by the Su plant. This is very interesting to me, but I want to know why the water buffalo comes first. Anyway, let's continue. I think these sailors are those that help you in your journey on the Sektet, the boat of Ra that you take from the land of the living into the land of everlasting life on the boat of Ra. So you are also purifying those divine sailors at the season of night to gratify the hearts of the Neteru. I think the heart of the Neteru. I think that's beautiful. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, this is telling us that you are seeing purification before one is weighed. That purification allows them to be divine, allows them to absolutely enter the afterlife. We spent a lot of time on that. Mm-hmm. Take a look at the victory stele of PA. This, once again, also tells us about purification. You should know that Pa was a Cushitic or Nubian ruler that was coming from the south to put Kemet back in divine order after people had absolutely fought and prevented it from being the place that it should be. So take a look at what he says. He says, when you arrive at Waset, Waset is that city that today is known as Luxor. And the Greeks called it Thebes, by the way, but our ancestors called it Waset, the seat of dominion. When you arrive at Waset, before Epet Isut, you shall enter the water, ye shall bathe in the river, ye shall dress in fine linen, unstring the bow, loosen the arrow. Let not the chief boast as a mighty man. There is no strength to the mighty without the divine. He make the weak-armed into the strong-armed, so that multitudes flee from the feeble. And one alone can take 1,000 men. Sprinkle yourselves with the water of his altars. Sniff the ground before him. Sniff the ground means to prostrate yourself with your nose to the ground. Sniff the ground before him. Say ye to him, give us the way, that we might fight in the shadow of your sword. As for the generation whom thou hast sent out, when its attacks occur, multitudes flee before it. You must understand that this is an explanation of how purification will have you win divine battle. When PA brought his soldiers north, he didn't say to them, just get ready to fight as hard as you could. He said, before you do any fighting, before you actually engage in any sort of battle, purify yourself so that the divine can hold your hand and make you strong. So strong that multitudes will absolutely flee in front of it. This is sacred purification brought to us by PA. This is powerful. This is on the victory stele of PA. And of course, you'll see these images. You'll see purification in the temple of Bo, that used to be known as Nubt. Take a look at this purification here. You are seeing Heru and Jehuti purifying, pouring out what, if you look closely, are symbols of the Ankh, the symbol of the Ankh, which is clearly the symbol of divine life, and the other symbol is of Was, which is of protection. So they are giving this person, through their purification, life and protection. This is powerful. In addition to that, on the right you are seeing the purification of Amenhotep I. And this is beautiful as well. You're seeing Anpu on the right here giving this purification. And I want you to just recognize that your Kemetic ancestors believed that divine sacred life was given in purification. That this was a sacred bath. We see sacred baths in ancient Africa thousands of years ago. Thousands, tens of thousands of years ago. This is what we do. And that means that as you are trying to do this, you should be prepared to do it in that sense. You should be prepared to do sacred spiritual baths in order to prepare for the work. And so look at this. Here you are seeing the temple known as Peresut, the southern temple. And you're seeing the large purification pool that the priest and the king and those would have absolutely engaged in it. And I think it's gigantic, by the way. It is gigantic. But the thing that is so interesting to me is that, remember, you are in the desert. So how does this large purification pool, or maybe even better, purification lake, how does it fill? It fills because they understood that there was a subterranean passage from the Hapi, which is miles away. And so water would come from the river and fill this space. They recognized how powerful this space was, and that is why they created a sacred bathing lake there. This is absolutely mind-boggling, gobsmacking. This is powerful. Now, today we can also look at some of the scientific descriptions of purification. Take a look at the article that comes to us from the National Library of Medicine, from the National Institutes of Health. It actually says that they have done a study on the physical and mental effects of bathing. The physical and mental effects of bathing. And in the abstract it says, showering is the most common form of bathing worldwide. Whole body immersion, bathing in warm water, is common in Japan and exerts sufficient hyperthermic action to induce vasodilation and increase blood flow, supplying more oxygen and nutrients to the periphery, to your external organs, they're saying. And so they're talking about both the psychological and the physical, the actual biological benefits of bathing. So you can absolutely see that this is powerful. In fact, in here you'll actually see visual analog scale scores were significantly better for fatigue, stress, pain, and smile. You smile more when you bathe. And tended to be better for self-reported health and skin condition after bathing intervention than after showering intervention. In other words, people actually said that they felt better after bathing than they did after showering. The profile of the mood state scores were lower for stress, tension, anxiety, anger, hostility, depression, and dejection. I'm telling you that we should just go on the street and find people that are upset and just plunge them in some water and bathe them. Because if you look at the things that they say improve, I know that in my world, those things need to improve. I don't know about your world. We should be explaining to people the purpose, the benefit of spiritual baths, and how they actually can assist people. Take a look at this article from Psychology Today, where it says the power of a shower. How to soap up and find ideas. Are they saying that in the shower, in the bathing, your mind absolutely is able to in some ways cleanse itself, and you have wonderful concepts and ideas that come to you while you shower? While you shower, it says here, by the way, this one is written by Nancy Napier, PhD. She says, a lot of people say they have aha moments in the shower, maybe after wrestling with some of the problems the night or day before. That's the unseen mind at work, as researchers call it. Even though it seems you're not thinking about something, your brain is working away, making connections all the while. This is powerful. So recognize the power, even scientifically, of these baths. So let's talk about some of the items that you might put in your spiritual bath, and let's prepare to do a spiritual bath. Now, of course, I'm not going to be bathing in front of you. I didn't think that that would be the most enjoyable experience for all. But I do think that what we should do is create a spiritual bath so that you're able to get a sense of some of the items that you might include in it. And so we've brought items here that certainly can be used. I'll talk to you more about them in a second. We've brought some, obviously we have water here, warm water here. And we also have so many items that we're going to be talking to you about. As you look at the slide, I want you to recognize that there are so many things that you might decide to put in your spiritual bath, and that all of them will likely improve your mood, improve your spiritual cognition, and allow you to do amazing things. So just think, spiritual baths are important. We hope that you are doing them, particularly because we see our ancient Kemetic ancestors engaging in them so often. Practitioners, shouldn't you be doing it as well? I think you should. I think you should. So some of the things that you might want to include. Minerals. The minerals help slough the skin. They actually help you to balance the items that you're going to be placing into the bath. One of the things that some of the things people often use as minerals is they use sea salt, baking soda, and clay sometimes. Baking soda is really good. And you might also know that sometimes people also use Epsom salt, right? You've heard that. You've heard that when people are sore, they use Epsom salt. For this particular one, we're going to use some ancient ocean Himalayan pink salt. And you should know that this is one of the things that you should use. As you are preparing your bath, shouldn't you be thinking sacred thoughts? Shouldn't you be thinking sacred thoughts? Perhaps you should go into Hesi. Maybe you should be thinking about how to purify oneself. The word for to purify is wab, right? Right? Maybe you can say something like wab em heru, wab em asar, wab em ast. And I'm going to ask Anika to see if I'm saying it correct. I'm saying I am purified of these divine forces. Anika is giving me a very slow nod, which tells me, yeah, that's pretty good. So take a look at this. I'm actually going to add, in this little shot glass, I like to use shot glasses, a little bit of my Himalayan ocean sea salt. The pink sea salt is really good. One of the reasons why it's pink is because it has all of the mineral health that some of the table salt that many of us grew up on don't actually have. So you could actually add that as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and put some of the warm water in already. We've already gotten some warm water here. And so you'll see I'm going to add the warm water. We have some beautiful pieces of glass and crystal that are in there. Feel free to use it the way that you feel most comfortable.
Good question.
Yes, go ahead. Ask the questions.
When you don't have access to a bathtub but only a shower, how can you replicate the experience?
Now, I want to say to you that it is not unusual to do spiritual baths as people are pouring the water on you. We have done sacred baths. I know that in some of our initiation rites that we've done with children, we've done sacred baths outside. They have their swim trunks. We make this big barrel of items. They stand there and they breathe and they chant and we pour water on them. You will absolutely see that this is something that happens. When we say spiritual bath, we're not saying necessarily that a spiritual bath is different than a spiritual shower per se. But recognize that soaking in the items absolutely give you more oomph than if you were simply just pouring them. But just because you don't have access to a bath does not mean that you should not be doing spiritual bathing. Or if it's a spiritual shower, that's better than not doing it at all, is it not? So that's what I would suggest you do. Okay? So we've poured our water in. Now what I would do, I usually put the salt in a little early. It's been a long time since I've done one of these for myself. Spiritual baths were really a part of what I learned when I was at a Sarset. That's when I first became a Kemite. And then what I also like to add is Florida water, right? The Florida water, here, sniff that a little bit. You smell the Florida water? It is absolutely, it's not called Florida water because it comes from Florida. It's called Florida water because they're trying to say that you're having essentially an alcohol-based item that has flowers that have been sort of marinated in it. And so it has a wonderful scent, an alcohol type scent. So you can go ahead and put a little in there. Florida water is often used for purification, as you know. Now you might say, well, where can I get Florida water? Before Amazon and all those other online sources, I used to go to the Botanica to get my Florida water. I've even heard some people say that Florida water is in sale in some neighborhoods, some areas at Walmart. Go ahead and get your Florida water. The most common brand is the Murray and Landman brand.
Go to the Botanica.
Yeah, you probably should go to the Botanica first, because that's where you're going to see other items. So we've put in our salt. We've put in some of the Florida water. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of the herbs, right? And so here we have rosemary. Now, here's the deal. Our rosemary is a little old, okay? Normally, rosemary is extremely fragrant. But we're also going to add some essential rosemary oil. So we're putting rosemary in this one. What is rosemary used for? I want you to tell me why I might be putting rosemary inside of a spiritual bath. Who's going to tell me that? Let's see you answer. Because I know that I am not the only one that has done spiritual baths. So what would rosemary be good for? What might you be contending with that you would decide that rosemary is a good thing to add to your spiritual bath? And let's see what those practitioners who are watching might actually say. What would you add this for?
No answers yet.
No, it's going to take a little while because there's a little bit of a delay. Okay, so now we have, by the way, this smells amazing. Can you smell it where you are?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so we have rosemary in. We have our sea salt in. I'm going to mix up the sea salt a little bit so that we're able to let a little bit more of it dissolve. But you know that not all the sea salt is going to dissolve. When you have extra coarse sea salt, what you can also do is use that sea salt to absolutely exfoliate, and that's a wonderful thing. That's one of the reasons why you add the sea salt. Okay, what else am I going to add? I think I want to add a little rose water, because this is, I'm going to use the spray. This is also something that smells amazing, and this is something Anika uses sometimes in her hair, right?
I use it when people like to smoke a lot of weed and it gets caught up in my locks. So
Rose water is excellent.
take the scent out.
It's almost like an original Naturals Febreze, right? So you spray your hair with rose water. You're going to smell the rose water, but as the rose water evaporates, it takes the scent with it. And so when Anika has been around people who have been smoking, she uses it in her locks. I've known her to do that for all the years she's had locks. It's just one of the things that I guess you learn when you are doing your work. Now, you might notice that there's a lot of stuff. Can they see this? There's a lot of stuff in here, right? Please don't clog your drain. There's something else that you might choose to do. You might choose to put all of those items in a little sachet. You see that?
Sachet. The sachet.
Right?
Sachet, right?
Sachet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I not saying it right?
So the sachet, that's me.
No, sachet is to shimmy a little bit. This is a sachet. So anyway, go ahead, take a look at it, and you can actually see that if you were going to make your own, by the way, sometimes make these and sell them. Who's one of our favorite fat practitioners that makes them and sells them?
Yendis Neferatu.
You know we're going to find a way to talk about Yendis Neferatu because she is our sister in the tradition. She's been around for a long time. We myrrh her so much. But this is what, we were initiated together. That's, you should know. What you can do is just go to Amazon, go to your store, buy yourself some cheesecloth. By the way, there's lots of things you can use cheesecloth for dietarily. If you're making your nut milks, you can use it that way. So what I would suggest that you do is you get your cheesecloth, you put your herb and other items in it, and then you can use some twine. I like to use cotton twine. Use something that's natural and tie it up. And that is how you're going to actually have your items in there, okay? In addition to that, some of the other things that you can add, I'm not going to add it now. You can see here, this is from actually Priestess Yendis. You can see these are her ancient blends of herbs and oils and essential oils. You can always go and take a look at what she's doing there and check her out. You'll also see that Anika has also brought down some peppermint rosemary. I'm going to put some of that in there because our rosemary is a little bit older, so it's not as fragrant. So that's just a little peppermint. Now, what does peppermint do? Peppermint is effervescent, right? And it is wonderful on the skin, right? So peppermint and rosemary is what you could use. And that will give it a wonderful fragrance as well. You could also decide that you're going to actually also use coconut milk. I also would think that coconut milk would be wonderful. And if you're not going to just put it in your bath, you could also blend this with your fruit and have a wonderful smoothie. But recognize that coconut, I'm not going to open the coconut milk now, but you could also use coconut milk. Now, as you have this all combined, and I wish that you all at home could smell this because it smells amazing. One of the things that you might actually seek to do as you're laying in it is you could then decide, you know what, this is a good time for me to actually light some candles. Perhaps as before you're getting in, you might also decide that what you're going to do is, I have a napkin right here, is that you're actually also going to prepare the air. You're going to purify the air. So why not also get ready and do your smudging, right? You're seeing we have sweet sage here in an abalone shell on these wonderful wooden, hand-carved wooden pieces. This is a good time that you can do that as well. So why don't you prepare the air. Would have been nicer to have a larger table, but we wanted you to see very clearly. Why don't you go ahead, I touched this and now it's probably going to be wet, which means it's not going to light very easily. Why don't you go ahead and light your sweet sage bush so that you can go ahead and also smudge.
And there's a question, can you
Now-
use eucalyptus leaf?
Absolutely. Eucalyptus is amazing. It's also effervescent. Eucalyptus is amazing. But from here, what I would want to do when I'm doing my smudging, ooh, I'm smelling a little bit of it, but because I touched it with my wet hands, it's not going to burn as easily. What you're going to do here is you're going to want to also cleanse the air. So recognize that purification is done in many different ways, right? We even read in the text that purification is done by your thoughts, by your deeds, right? Your interior is purified by being a vessel of ma'at, and that is beautiful to me as well. So as you see, I think this is as much of the sweet sage grass as we're going to get. Well, I don't know where my cigar lighter is. You gonna light it there for me? Dua. So you'll be able to do it that way. As you actually are doing your smudging, what are some of the other things that you like to add? We have actually tea lights that we use. Now, if we were in a full tub, we'd be able to use these, right? Because they'd be buoyant enough in the full tub. These are crystal tea light holders that look like lotuses, and so we would do that. That's what we would do here. And then you just put your tea light in, you light it, and it's an amazing addition that you can certainly use. There also, Anika likes these wonderful green tea lights. Recognize that when you are able, there we go, dua. So you can see that you should be smudging. You should be smudging as well your area, so you're purifying the entire area. When I smell smudging, I think of the Shrine of Ptah, because the Shrine of Ptah was always filled with sage. Mm-hmm. We don't use sage as much because Anika's not a large sage fan. She much more prefers Palo Santo. So if that is better for you, you can also do smudging with Palo Santo. I always say that smudging with sage is like using a blowtorch or a fire hose for purification, and maybe using Palo Santo is like using a garden hose. They'll both get you there. One just is a little bit more dramatic and a little bit more forceful. But you can certainly use Palo Santo as well. And so as we sage, we'll place it in our abalone shell. Let's see if this is going to stay upright. We'll see. The worst thing that's going to happen is that the light will go out. I'm going to light a few of these wonderful green tea lights. Why green? Well, think about the energy that you're looking to absolutely bring into your life. The energy that might actually assist you in expelling some negative energies. And you can definitely decide what color you're going to use. Now, I said that we were doing the purification of a sar, so Anika decided that green was an excellent color because green is sacred to a sar. And you see that what we were reading, they were talking about the Lord of the ground. That is a reference to sar. And so here we go. A wonderful tea light that we can add there. You've purified the air. You, during purification, using these wonderful liquids. I'm assuming that as you're doing this purification, you would also have wonderful tones being used. Perhaps this is a good time before you get in to use your singing bell. Maybe you're just going to have a nice Bluetooth speaker and play divine music, Hesi, chanting. And then the final thing that we would add is the thing that we tend to have the least amount of. This is our spiritual water from the we bring it back with us whenever we come. And so we just will put a little bit in here. This is water from the Hapi. And I added it in 3 portions. for reasons that some of you might recognize. So while we may not have been in a bathtub, recognize that even standing by this as I smell it, have the essential oils on my hand, and it actually seeing the items that we've done the smudging with, and I'm actually seeing the candles here. It is even me, and I'm not in it. Please, practitioners, do your spiritual baths, because they will allow you a different phase in your practitionership. Allow yourself to be taken by spirit of purifying and there to do the work. Sometimes we need to slough off those things that we have accumulated, the detritus. Just as when you bathe, you're removing dead skin. Where is the dead skin on your soul? We're doing exfoliation using sea salt. What do you have to exfoliate from your experiences? Spiritual baths occur both physically and spiritually. And I'm hoping that you will recognize that this is one of the tools that practitioners must use in order for them to be able to do the work, to go to battle, as PA would say. Prostrate yourself in front of the altar. Sprinkle yourself with the waters of it, so that you are able to do the divine work that you must do. With that, I say to you, Ankin Ma'at, Shem Matep, and of course I will always say, the divine force in me grease the divine force in you. Dua, dua. I think you've seen the slide that showed some of the items that you might consider to use in your spiritual baths. Think about them, take your screenshot of them, get involved in them. Let me just say this really quickly before we do the final affirmation. There are some decent books. I like this one. Although it's Hoodoo Spiritual Baths. I'm going to say to you, Hoodoo is obviously, it's the way in which enslaved Africans brought some of their practices that they did on the continent with them while they were enslaved. I don't agree with everything I read in the practice of Hoodoo, but I do like this particular book, Hoodoo Spiritual Baths by Aura LaForest. And it's very interesting. It gives you some ideas on some of the things that you might actually include. Please make sure that you are adding this to your repertoire so that we're able to ascend together. 12. Anika, can you come forward for our final affirmation?
Sure. You could have done that for the people, right? Y'all would have been all right with that.
See how she's trying to find a way for her to get pampered as I'm trying to do a piece on spiritual baths. You see how that works?
He knows I love a spa any day, so doing this is amazing.
Amazing.
It makes me feel good just being near it. Yeah, he can wash his wife's feet.
Yeah, you can go ahead, stick your foot in there right now, and we'll just,
I have no problem doing that. Well, I hope you enjoyed our session today and that you take the time to do some self-cleansing, some purification.
Yes.
And this is just self-care. The fact that we've been stuck in our homes for over almost a year and a half now, and many of you are probably losing it. You want to be outside, you want to get the sun on your back and just feel the air, and feel comfortable again. But until we're able to go out there and do it safely the way we always did it and the way we love to do it, it is springtime and you want to feel good about yourself, do your spiritual baths. That's one way of taking care of yourself while you are inside, so that you still cleanse and feel whole again. So please take care of yourself and do what needs to be done.
And bro, don't think this is just for the sisters. PA said soldiers to go and do spiritual baths.
Yes.
So I want you to recognize that this is a tool that practitioners must continue to have in their toolboxes. So I'm really hoping that you'll engage in them as well. So
I'm going to offer you our affirmation in the word Nutu Inter, and I ask that you stand in a pose of adoration as you say these words after me. Rupu Nuku,
Rupunuku,
Amiku,
Amiku,
Kemam,
Kemam,
Keperu,
Keperu,
and Inter,
and Inter,
Hayu.
Hayu.
I am that I am,
I am that I am,
a shining being,
a shining being,
dwelling in the light